Well, today we'll be discussing pteridophytes under chapter Plant Kingdom. Okay, so we'll discuss the overview of pteridophytes, general characteristics, then some examples, and the most importantly, life cycle and your significance. Okay, so let us start. What are pteridophytes? Pteridophytes includes fawn and horsetails. Okay, fawn, almost all of you have seen this plant is fawn. Okay, so fawn you have seen, and horsetail is somehow like this. It is a plant like this, and now they are the first terrestrial plant with vascular tissue. Very, very important. Or you can say they are the first vascular cryptogams, because all phanerogams are having vascular tissue, but this is the only cryptogam that is having the vascular tissue. So of two bryophytes we have discussed that there is no true root, stem and leaves, but here, since the vascular tissue are present, so the root, stem and leaf are differentiated. The plant body is differentiated into true root, true stem and true leaves. Okay, so vascular tissue means presence of xylem and phloem, and they reproduce through spores, not through seeds. See why this point is highlighted, because see, there are two groups under plant kingdom. Okay, so what are they? They are cryptogams and phanerogams. Okay, the cryptogams are seedless, but the phanerogams are seed bearing. Okay, so the phanerogams reproduce by seeds, by the production of seeds, but here since there is no seed is there, but they have the feature like the phanerogams, that is the root, stem and leaves, true root, true stem and true leaves are there. So they're having the feature, the plant body's anatomy is like that of the phanerogams, but they don't have the seeds, but they reproduce through spores. So this is very, very important. Okay, now come to the habitat. They are mostly found in cool places, damp areas, sandy regions, but there are some species which grow in sandy soil also. Now come to the economic importance. They are used as medicinal plant, soil binder. Their root fixes the plant so firmly to the soil, and it holds the soil very tightly, uh, and that's why it prevents the soil erosion. And they are the mostly the ferns are the ornamental plants, which are kept they are also used as the indoor plants. Okay, now come to the plant body. In bryophyte we have discussed that the plant body was the gametophyte. So gametophyte was the dominant phase in bryophyte, but here the plant body, the major plant body, the main plant body, so this plant body, this one is a sporophyte. So it is the dominant phase in the life cycle. Very important. Now characteristics, they are independent. In bryophyte the sporophyte was dependent on the gametophyte, it was a semi parasite, but here it is independent, and it is well differentiated into true root, true stem and true leaves. Here you can see the roots are there, this is the here is the stem, and then these are the leaves. Okay, and rather you can say that see, these are the roots and this is the stem. The stem is modified into rhizome. Okay, and this is the complete, which look appear like the plant, is the leaf. So this structure is the leaf, and this leaf is known as frond. Because here see, frond, where we have studied in case of brown algae, the basal part is known as, that is it has the, in case of algae they are having spike, frond and hold fast. So here the stem is underground and it acts like the hold fast. Then this is the spike like structure, that is known as stipe. Okay, and then this is frond, but actually this is not frond, this is the leaf. Okay, uh let me erase this one now. So they are having true root, true stem and true leaves because they are vascular, means they are having xylem and phloem. Okay, so that's why they are vascular. Now here one more thing I will tell you, the leaves. It is very important. The leaves, as you have seen here, the complete structure is the leaf, and this leaf is a compound leaf. Remember, it is a compound leaf. So compound leaf means what? The leaf is not entire. The leaf blade is not entire. Rather, it is dissected into leaflets. See, in a simple leaf, what happens? The leaf is like this. Okay, this is a simple leaves. But here, what has happened? This incision has reached up to the midrib. Okay, and it is divided like this. Now, this midrib is known as rachis. This is known as rachis. Okay, please note down this. Draw the diagram and note down these points. So, what type of compound leaf? It is bipinnate. It is bipinnate. Why it is known as bipinnate? Because here you can see that this is the rachis. Okay, the midrib is constituted by the rachis. From the rachis, you can see from a single point how many leaflets are erased. 2 leaflets are erased. Okay, so it is known as bipinnate. Now there are two types of leaves in every plant body. One is microphyls, other one is macrophyls or megaphylls. Okay, microphyls are small leaves. Okay, here you can see in case of Salaginella, these are the small leaves. Okay, micro leaves. The next, macrophyll means megaphylls or large leaves. So these large leaves are present in case of fern. In case of fern, as I have shown you here, this is the large leaf in case of fern. Okay, so what are the two types of leaves? Microphylls. Micro means small. So small leaves present in case of Selaginella, and the other one is macrophylls or megaphylls, which are seen in case of fern. Okay. Now come to the sporophyll and sporangia. The leaves are known as sporophylls because the leaves bear the sporangia. Okay. But here you remember all the leaves. Suppose this is the stem and here this is one leaf, this is another leaf. So the leaves are arising like this. Okay. The leaves are bipinnate, as I have said you. So this is a complete leaf. The whole structure is a leaf. Similarly, this is also a leaf. But all leaves are not having the sporangia. You know what is sporangia? Sporangia is the structure which bears the spores. So some of the leaves are having the sporangia, and those leaves bears the sporangia are known as sporophyll. Sporophyll what? The leaves bearing sporangia. All leaves do not bear the sporangia. Those leaves which bear the sporangia are known as sporophylls. Okay. Now, the sporangia produces spores through meiosis. Actually, the plant, what is the ploidy of the plant? The plant body, the sporophyte is always, sporophyte is diploid. Now, the sporophyll is also diploid because it is the leaf. Now, in the sporophyll, what are developed? Sporangia. And whatever cells are present in the sporangia are also 2n. Now this sporangia undergoes meiosis and it produces the spores which are haploid. So these are the spores. So please note down whatever writing I am here on the slide. Now come to strobili. So see, I have given you the example of Salaginella. In Salaginella, the leaves are very small. So here the sporangia do not develop on the leaves. So here the leaves are not known as sporophylls. So here what happens then, where the spores are formed, they are having strobili or cones. Separately they are having the cones, and these cones are known as strobili. Okay, I'll show you later on. So for example, Salaginella and Equisetum. Okay, now come to this structure. See, here you can see this is the fawn leaf. In the leaf, some of the leaves, the sporangia are not present in this leaf, but here you can see in this leaf the brown patches are there. Okay, and these each one is, ये देखो आपका ये साइड में जो एक एक है इसको हम बोलते हैं leaflet or pinna. Okay, in the pinna you can see the patches are arranged like this. Now these patches are known as sori and singular is soros. Okay, please note down these things. Sori is the plural and soros is the singular. Okay, now in each soros, what is present? Sporangia is present. And in the sporangia, the spores are produced. Spores are produced by meiosis. Remember, meiosis, and these spores are, the spores are N. Okay. Now come to the most important part, the life cycle. Like the bryophytes, the life cycle includes two phases, that is sporophytic phase and gametophytic phase. So here you can see this is the main plant body which constitutes the sporophyte. Okay, so this plant body is a sporophyte. Okay, now this sporophyte, when the leaf attains maturity, so this is a mature sporophyte. In the mature sporophyte, the leaf becomes the sporophyll. You just add whatever I am writing to this diagram, the sporophyll. Now in the sporophyll, the brown patches appears, that is the sori, and in the sori the sporangium is there. So here you can see in the sori or soros, this is the sporangium. What is this structure? This is sporangium. Now in the sporangium, the spores are produced by meiosis and the spores are released when the sporangium bursts. Okay, now these spores, when gets a suitable condition, it germinates into, so this is spore germination. So when it germinates, it develops into the gametophyte. Now what is the ploidy of gametophyte? The gametophyte is N, because the spores are N. So directly the spore germinates into the gametophyte, so it is N. Now this gametophyte develops into a flattened leaf-like heart-shaped structure, as you can see here, and these this is gametophyte, so gametes are produced in this structure. So here it you can see that here, as I have shown you in the class, these are the archegonia. Here is the notch, and surrounding the notch, the archegonia are developed. And the archegonia produces what? The archegonia. So here it is shown the archegonia, and at the periphery and the lowermost part, the antheridium are produced. Okay, so this is the antheridia. Now the archegonia bears the egg, and the antheridia produce the antherozoids. It produces the, or you can say, the sperms. Now these antherozoids and the egg, now antherozoids are carried by the wind and falls inside, it reaches inside the archegonium, and inside the archegonium the fertilization takes place. Remember, fertilization takes place inside the archegonium. Okay, so here the archegonium bears the egg. Now these antherozoids reach up to the egg, and only one antherozoid fertilizes the egg. Now egg is haploid, antherozoid is haploid. Now after fertilization, they form the zygote. They form zygote, which is 2N. So here you can see that after fertilization, what has been formed? The zygote is formed, and this is 2N. Okay, now this zygote develops into the sporophyte. Here you can see this is gametophyte. Okay, and in the gametophyte I have shown you the archegonia are here. Okay, archegonia never detaches from the plant body. Plant body से archegonia जैसे यहाँ separate करके दिखाया गया है only for clarity, but ये separate नहीं होता, it remains attached. But the antherozoids, antheridia also never detaches from the plant. Antherozoids are released from it and they reach up to the archegonia. Okay, and now the fertilization takes place inside the archegonia. The zygote is formed, and zygote develops into the sporophyte, and gradually what happens, the gametophyte on the gametophyte only the young sporophyte is developed, but gradually what happens, the gametophyte degenerates and only the sporophyte remains. Now the sporophyte differentiates into the root, stem and leaves. Okay, here the stem is modified into rhizome, the underground stem. Rhizome is a underground stem. Okay, so this is about the life cycle. Now how it shows the alternation of generation in its life cycle, let me show you. What is alternation of generation? When any organism is having two phases in its life cycle, one is haploid and one is diploid, one is sexual phase and other is asexual phase, and these two phases are alternating with each other, then that is known as alternation of generation. So how it shows alternation of generation, that to true alternation of generation? So here also there is a sporophytic phase. This is sporophyte. Okay, and this sporophyte reproduces asexually. This is reproduces asexually by spores. Okay, and this is the diploid generation. It alternates with the haploid generation. Okay, what is the haploid generation? Gametophyte. This is gametophyte, which is haploid generation, and it reproduces sexually and gives rise to the sporophyte. So this is known as alternation of generation. So just note down, what is alternation of generation? When the life cycle of any plant or any organism having two phases, one is gametophytic and other is sporophytic phase, or one is sexual phase and other is asexual phase, and they are alternating with each other in the life cycle to complete the life cycle, then it is known as alternation of generation. So whatever I'm saying, please note it down. आप इसको थोड़ा note कर लो, ठीक है? Now, gametophyte. Gametophyte का character, sporophyte we have already discussed. The gametophyte is small, green, free living. See, here both are free living. Photosynthetic, multicellular, thalloid body. Thalloid, why? Because it doesn't have any, it is not differentiated into root, stem and leaves, but it has the root like structure, that is rhizoids. Okay, it is having the root like structure called rhizoids. Now they need moisture, shade and water for fertilization. Now come to the sex organs. As I have shown you, the Antheridia are the male sex organ and Archegonia are the female sex organ. The male sex organ produces antherozoids. Archegonia produces the egg, contains the egg, and for fertilization water is essential. And see, in equisetum the wind is required, but in fawn the male gamete swims to the archegonium through water, and fertilization forms a zygote. Then zygote develops into dominant sporophyte that I have shown you in the life cycle. Now, there are two types of plant depending upon the types of spores produced: homosporous plant and heterosporous plant. Homosporous means produces one type of spore and mostly the false. But heterosporous plants produces two kinds of spores, that is microspore, which are small and they act like the male gamete. Male means they develop into male gametophyte. And megaspore are large and they develop into female gametophyte. For example, Salaginella. तो Salaginella में हमने क्या दिखाया आपको? The leaves are very small. Okay, so here what happens, the gametophyte, like here as I have shown you here, in case of fawn the gametophyte is bisexual, means both Archegonia and Antheridia are developed on the same gametophyte. But here what happens, there are two prothallus. The gametophyte is known as prothallus. There are two different types. They develop from the male spore and female spore. So the from the gametophyte develops from the female spore, contains the archegonia, and that develops from the male spore, contains the antheridia. So here male and female gametophytes are different. Okay, because they are developed from the two different types of spore. One is microspore. Microspore develops into male gametophyte and megaspore develops into female gametophyte. Now this part is very important, evolutionary importance. In heterosporous plant, heterosporous means microspore and megaspore जहाँ produce होता है, the female gametophyte remains inside the sporophyte. Okay, sporophyte के अंदर, जैसे मैंने बोला स्ट्रोबिली इज ए लाइक इक्विजिटम, दिस इज द, और सेलाजिनेला, ये प्लांट में क्या होता है, दिस आर द लीव्स and here a cone is formed. Okay, and in the this cone is the gametophyte. So this cone develops from the female gametophyte. Okay, because here the archegonia is present and inside the archegonia the egg is present, the fertilization takes place, and after fertilization it develops into the cone which represents the gametophyte. Similarly, there are two types of cone, one is male cone and female cone. Okay, so the details of this one is not there in your textbook, but however the female gametophyte remains inside the sporophyte. So this plant is sporophyte and the female gametophyte is present inside the sporophyte. Now the embryo develops within the female gametophyte. Here what happens, why they are no, see here they are not producing the seed, but they have the seed like character. Seed like character क्या है? सीड क्या करता है ड्यूरिंग जर्मिनेशन, और द सीड इनसाइड द सीड व्हाट इज फॉर्म्ड फ्रॉम द जाइगोट, जाइगोट से एम्ब्रियो डेवलप होता है. ओके, नाउ दिस एम्ब्रियो डेवलपमेंट यहाँ हो रहा है किसके अंदर, इनसाइड द फीमेल गैमेटोफाइट. ओके, सो बट हियर देयर इज नो सीड. Okay, and this is the beginning of seed habit. So they sow the seed habit but not the seed. So this part is very very important, children. So by this your pteridophyte is completed. So in our next session I will be discussing gymnosperm and angiosperm. Till then, bye bye, thank you.